Subluxations interfere with the mental impulse of the nervous system, and over time the body begins to malfunction. Chiropractors correct subluxation, and when the body functions more normally, patients experience changes in symptoms, chronic conditions, pain. Every one of us has an innate potential to heal ourselves, but that innate potential is decreased when there's a subluxation present.
Hi, my name's Mary, and when I first came in here, I was totally at the end of my rope, frustrated, because I had pain and restriction in my movement for years and years, and had tried many different modalities, actually a number of different chiropractors even, and I started researching who might be able to help me. And so I came in contact with Dr. Kmet's work online and saw that what he did would probably be the best fit for me. One of the things was that in the past I've always been very limber, loose jointed. And so anybody else that had worked with me always said I was a Gumby. And they couldn't adjust me. They couldn't get, and it was just like I went from one person to another. I said, you just have a weird body. I can't adjust to it, But I saw what he did and how specific it was, and it just spoke to me. It just was like, this will help me.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Good to see you.
See you.
Have a seat. The instrument tells us the location of the subluxation. Anytime there's damage to a disc, there's going to be inflammation, which compresses the nerve. And that's what interferes with the flow of mental impulse. With static palpation, I'm feeling for inflammation at the segment level of where the nerve pressure is. That's what's restricting that mental impulse. I'm also feeling for any type of muscle spasm. When the muscles become hypertonic, it's because they're trying to stabilize that segment and prevent it from getting any worse. Then I'm feeling for restricted range of motion. At the intersegmental level, I'm comparing the vertebrae above and the vertebrae below the one that's in question. Once we get this information, we confirm it with the x-ray to make sure there's a misalignment on the x-ray. That's how we confirm the subluxation. Now it's time to get that fifth lumbar corrected. We use the x-ray to make sure that we're on the fifth lumbar. We take the slack out in the posterior to the anterior direction. That's also the line of drive. So there's no rotation in the lumbar spine. Now I'm feeling for inflammation under the spinous process and restricted intersegmental range of motion. We're going to set C7. When we adjust that, our finger needs to be under the spinous process, and we're setting that from the inferior to the superior. Since we use the meter to determine the location of the subluxation, we need to see if it's still there, and that's why we go over that same spot there, and you can see that it's clear. It's also clear. And we're clear at the fifth lumbar. That means there's a better mental impulse getting from the brain to the body now. Intersegmental motion generally will increase. The body starts to function more normally, but the muscle contraction will also start to change. The postural anomalies will start to change too. Once we correct the subluxation, not only will the body start to function more normally, but the muscle contraction will change too. These x-rays are taken about 5 to 6 weeks apart. And one thing we'll note here, this is a plumb line, straight from S2, straight up. Here we'll note that C2, the dens, is 23 millimeters shifted to the right. Once we started correcting the subluxation and her body started to change and adapt more normally, here we have the plumb line straight up from S2 or S1 almost directly through C2. The line at the inferior lateral, right lateral border of the 9th thoracic is 50 millimeters shifted to the right. On the post X-ray, it's 36 millimeters shifted to the right. So that was a 28% change. Interesting to note here that this is not an acute case. In acute cases, we would expect to see these things, but this is a chronic case of someone in their 70s, which is an amazing amount of change in such a short period of time. But this is what's possible when the subluxation is corrected.
After coming to this Gold Clinic and seeing Dr. Kumetz, it's been an incredible change in my life. It took a couple weeks before things really started, I started noticing it, but after a while I started noticing that I was having whole days where I didn't have pain. And I was like, I don't know this feeling, and I was trying to figure out what am I going to do with myself now that I'm not in pain and not thinking about pain all the time, and it's kind of gradually showed up like that, and I started being able to go out and walk longer, and I go all the way out to the hills where I like to walk, and to be able, but more than that was a mental change that happened with me, because it was this amazing sense of not constantly thinking about being in pain, and I couldn't stand up to wash dishes, or I couldn't sit at the piano, or I couldn't, all those things that had just become kind of habitual to just kind of go, oh, I guess, I just have to go sit down now. And I was finding myself doing things more and more and more, and telling people, wow, my total life just got changed.